But I get the same thing with police interactions. Like I was a cop. I know the law. I know use of force policy. I know the use of force continuum. I used to have to do this every day of my life when I was a cop. And so I know things that the general public don't know and understand. And so, but I still get backlash. People still are mad at me, even though I've been right about every police thing that I've covered.
Right. Yeah,
I just because you just mentioned it, I just saw, there's that viral video going around about the guy whose window was smashed. I mean, what could you just because you brought it up, could you explain to me how that was okay? Because I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, okay and justified according to the law is two different things.
Michael's
right?
a bit of a libtard, so I'm just kidding.
Tell me, I want to know.
No, it's totally fine. I think everybody should question these things and they should hear viewpoints, right? Subjectively, a person may think that it's not okay to strike people no matter what. Subjectively. Objectively, you have to look at the law and the justification for use of force against people at any given time. The totality of circumstances, in my personal opinion, would lead an officer to have that leverage to say, if I believe that a face strike while I'm trying to pull a guy out of the car because he's non-compliant was justifiable for me to execute an arrest, an officer can utilize that force. Now, I don't know if you saw the body-worn camera. They produced the body-worn camera. That's crucial. Okay. They produced the body-worn camera yesterday. The sheriff came out and articulated very clearly what was going on. And so at the very beginning, they pull up. He was non-compliant. He literally told them, no, I'm not doing anything you told me to do. He shut the door, locked it, and said, send your supervisor. I'm not doing anything. The cop told him 7 times, you're under arrest for obstruction. Get out of the car. Get out of the car. You're under arrest for obstruction. Everything the officer did was according to the law. It wasn't even a violent interaction initially. The officer was saying, sir, you're under arrest, sir. And the officer actually told him exactly why he pulled him over. He said, you pulled you over for not having your headlights on in inclement weather, and you didn't have a seatbelt on. And the guy was just completely combative for the first several minutes before he turned his camera on. Then when he turned his camera on, it already has escalated. They have police officers that have responded. They have 6 or 7 officers that have now responded because this guy's non-compliant. These situations become very violent quickly. If you've ever been a cop, cops know a guy could be doing all this because he's going to pull a gun out. He's going to pull off on the traffic stop. He's a wanted murderer. There's a lot of things that could be possibilities which will make officers heighten their suspicion when somebody's acting like this over a headlight infraction, which is a civil infraction. But then when you go to extracting them from the car, I think the cop could have went without the palm strike to the face. But according to the law, according to what the attorney general said, nothing that he did was illegal and out of the bounds of use of force policy. But then when they pulled him out of the car, punching him in the face, it's not pretty, but we can utilize that level of force to execute an arrest. And you saw when he punched him in the face, when he was out of the car, he complied. So those things to the public may seem a little bit extreme, which I understand. But when you're a police officer and you deal with use of force every day, you realize a cop got to do whatever a cop believes is necessary to get this guy under control, because you don't know him.
They pay the ultimate price for hesitation or making a mistake in assessing a situation. So for us to watch and say, shame on you, it's like, well, you know what? You don't see all the cops that were killed because they hesitated.
Cops see cops that are killed. They used to send us a briefing every day, and when we go to the briefing meeting, the first 15 minutes of our shift, we do briefing, and then we go out and patrol. It's kind of like a little time to collect ourselves before we overlap.
Right.
But they should send us cops that get killed every day. So every day we get a list of all the police officers that have been killed and the circumstances that they've been killed in. And there's so many cops that have been killed on traffic stop in this very scenario where a guy's non-compliant for what seems to be a basic traffic stop. He shuts the door and then he has a gun. And now he's got a reason to be hyped up, and cops get killed. They walk up to the window and they get killed. If you watch the video, the body camera that I shared, and I'm going to do a breakdown of it today later, you'll see that the cop stands off to the back quarter panel of the car because he has to be in a tactical advantage because you don't know who this guy is. It's not reasonable to get mad over a headlight infraction. You know what I'm saying? So, but then what happened is he had drugs on him. He had a knife on the floorboard. He was driving on suspended license. He didn't have a seatbelt on, and he also didn't have his headlight on. He pled guilty to all of those. He pled guilty to not having a headlight and obviously resisting arrest, which he was charged for. He was found guilty. It was adjudicated. Everything was fine. 6 months later, he produced this video obviously in order to make a little money, which he will.
There's an interesting connection here, I think, between the uproar over what's happening in Gaza and this. It's it's a lot of people who don't have any interaction with bad people and force are just outraged by it being used in any capacity, and they can't wrap their heads around that there are people out there who have bad intentions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you go on a ride along. I tell anybody to go on a ride along. Go on a ride along. And then if you were on a ride along, you would have been at that traffic stop and you can feel this emotion. Yeah. Like when your life is on the line, when you're watching it from the TV, you're like, oh man, they just rambling and they're scuffling a little bit. He slaps him in the face. He did it. When you're physically there, your adrenaline is out of control because you think I can be killed at any moment right now. I can't see this guy's hands. He got the windows rolled up. Is this going to be my moment where I'm going to get killed and I'm never going home to my family? Why is this guy getting so worked up over a traffic stop? This is a warning. Hey, Jude, turn your lights on.
Right.
Is this guy going to produce a weapon? Is this a mass murderer? Is this guy running from the law? Did he just kill somebody? Like,
you don't know.
I felt it. Bro, when I was a cop, you feel this adrenaline where you kind of get afraid and then you get, kind of worked up, and palm striking in the moment seemed reasonable to you when you're worked up and this guy's uncompliant and there's so much going on. When you go look at it, you go, yeah, he could have went without the palm strike.
I mean, it's the same. The judgment, I think, is rooted in the same place and animated by the same thing as the people who watch what we're talking about with Israel and Gaza. And they're like, these soldiers going in, why did they have to react that way? I feel like, well, does your experience as an officer provide you unique insight in the way you judge situations in the Middle East or what's going on in Israel and all of these things? You're like, I know that things aren't what they seem as they're portrayed on an algorithm, on a quick little footage from the outside. Having been a police officer, been in combat, been in these scenarios where the vibe and the energy is a very different thing than when you're watching a body cam footage or some kind of security drone. It's a very different scenario when you're in a booby-trapped house or you're doing a traffic stop which could end in disaster. Does that give you a unique insight, you think, in watching all these kinds of things that are portrayed?
In two ways it does. It desensitized me to knee-jerk emotional responses to violence. Right. Because I know I've seen it and I've seen the worst of it. I've seen people literally decapitated. I've seen people get beat to death. Wow. I've seen people shot to death. And I physically see them take their last breath. It's an experience that when you have it changes the way you look at the world and the way you look at conflict. And I also know enough that you can't always go off of the first thing you see. You have to put things in context and try to put yourself in the position of everybody involved. And just imagine if you have never seen a person beheaded, like see a head over here and the body over here. If you've never seen people beat to death or what it looks like to be shot with a 7.62 from an AK-47 and the way a person looks when they've been ripped to shreds by this type of weapon, and you have to pick their body parts up and put them in a bag, and the emotional toll and the smell of gunpowder and flesh and all this. If you have never felt that and been there, then you don't know the fear and the perception that an IDF soldier has against a person that's willing to do that to an innocent human being. How much more are they willing to do this in combat with me? So the height of frustration, fear, anxiety, all of that goes into the interactions that you see with soldiers fighting on the front lines. A lot of these people don't know how many IDF soldiers have been murdered in this conflict, even on October 7th. They don't know how much conflict it is when you're going into Gaza, uncharted territory. You don't know who's a terrorist, who's a civilian. You don't know if it's booby trapped. Some of them are getting shot and killed. You don't know if they're shooting from buildings. You have no idea what's going on, but you don't have a choice. You are fighting on behalf of your country and the legacy of the existence of Israel. And you are going to an uncharted territory, in some cases, to die. And nobody knows the fear of what is it like when I die. You see what it's like when he died. You see what it's like with a gunshot wound to the head. What am I going to end up like him? What is it going to feel like when I take a shot to the neck or the chest and I'm bleeding out and what does my last words look like? That stuff is a lot more complicated than what the average person sitting on the couch is observing. But I will say this, but you also have to listen to both sides, because you hear the pundit say, they just blew up a church. They just shot innocent people at a feed zone. And then you go and you say, okay, what does the IDF say? And you look at the IDF and they go, that didn't happen. Here is what the video show. Here's the millions of leaflets that we dropped. Here are the phone calls that we made. Here are IDF soldiers escorting innocent people out of harm's way.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, wait a minute. That's not the narrative that was told for me. They're telling me that they're innocent killing people. And let me just say this too.
Yep.
I've been to Israel. I've seen IDF soldiers. They're average people that have to serve. Unlike in America where you can voluntarily serve or not. They're regular people. Do you have the audacity to think that the average woman or man that grows up in Israel in a peaceful environment has it out to just murder innocent people with no due regard, no emotional reaction to it? I don't think so. Right. I've seen those people, man. Some of them look kind of scary. Some of them, like scared. Some of them look like just a little kid. They don't have any choice. They got to serve whether they bad to the bone or not. And so that puts me in the perception to say, maybe there's more to it. How is the rules of engagement going? Let me look at IDF and listen to Palestinians and let me put it in proper perspective.
There seems to be this concerted effort to humanize monsters and demonize humans when it comes to like the humanity of Israeli soldiers versus when we look at what happened on October 7th with Hamas, where they attribute minimal agency to them and maximal agency to Israeli soldiers as some sort of just monolithic savage entity.
Yeah, I tell people, show me an example of IDF or Israelis doing any of this stuff that you see Hamas and Muslims and Islamists doing. Show me any of it. Are they in America? What have they done in America? Show me a suicide bomber Israeli in America. Show me somebody shoot up a nightclub because they don't agree with somebody's perspective that is Israeli, that is Jewish. Show me a terrorist attack in America. Show me people beheading Palestinians on camera from that are Jewish or from the IDF. You will never see this stuff. Show me where the IDF is going to other countries and just indiscriminately killing Christians and piling them up on the side of the road and just burning churches to the ground. You just never see that. So why would somebody equate the morality of the IDF and Jews and Israelis to people that are so barbaric that is unimaginable? They don't just kill other people; they kill their own people. Because it's easy to do that,
you know. It's easy to condemn it's like an "fu mom" energy, you know. It's easy to just the soft bigotry of low expectations. Those ones, you know, we're not going to judge that. Actual evil, we're going to ignore. Manufactured evil, we're going to condemn because it's all a virtue.
Just like the police. Like back to the subject we were talking about. Well, you know, the police killed Michael Brown in 2015 or whatever that was. They have an event for Michael Brown. They raising millions of dollars. They have murals but the cop that he attacked, who justifiably shot him, has trauma and exposure to that experience, but nobody cares about him. Right. Nobody thinks about the officer, but they want to get people out of prison. Well, you want prison reform.
Back to the officer scenario. Do you think that in that case, because of all this escalation, we should send in social workers to deal with these scenarios like Zohran Mamdani wants to do? Wouldn't that be better?
Well, if we want them to die, you know, we'll send them to die. Because social workers, think about this. Like, there's a deterrent having a gun in a vest in tactical training. There's a deterrent.
But there's a deterrent having a master's too.
Right. I wish it was. Then we'd have this world be a better place. But too bad the 5.56 don't care about a master's degree. So what happens is there's a little bit of a deterrent. There's a use of force presence from a police officer in uniform. It intimidates most people, right? So you don't think I'm gonna fight this guy. A lot of people are like, I don't really want that smoke. Send a social worker in who's never been a part of any violence, who don't know how to de-escalate a real situation, right? You can be in the office doing scenarios with your friends and say, oh, drop the gun. I'm sorry, sir, that you're going through. But versus police officers that have to deal with people in their worst moments. I literally had to talk people out of committing suicide right in front of me. I had to rescue a girl hanging off the side of a cliff that was like a 40-foot drop. Like trying to get a lady not to jump off the 11th floor in the Tucson house in Tucson, Arizona.
So how do you deal with hate comments then?
I can deal with all that, but the hate comments, they make me feel so poor. I don't sleep at night.
I'm curious what you say to someone who says they know how to de-escalate a situation, but they could also escalate a situation to a point where it doesn't need to be escalated. I'm curious how you respond to that.
Yeah, no, I think that people have a valid point in that. A well-trained officer knows how to de-escalate appropriately and know how to escalate when it's necessary. Poorly trained officers escalate things that they shouldn't escalate. But an untrained, unequipped, lack of real dramatic exposure from a person who only understands this in theory is going to escalate more quickly than a regular person, right? I know how to deal with stress. I know when a man is screaming at me, I know how to differentiate between he's a killer or he's just going through something right now. He want to kill me? No, he don't. He's just, he don't really want to kill me. He's upset right now. It's the worst day of his life. I have been exposed to that from all the way up to death, right? Meaning that I have dealt with people all the way with the fear of them killing me having a fight, put my hands on people. So all of that have trained me to go into a situation and like, this doesn't excite me. I know how to be calm in this situation. I do this, right? And I have a gun too. So if it gets ugly, I know how to handle my business. Versus a regular person, mostly it's going to be women. And you go into a scenario where a guy's like, I'm going to kill everybody. He's slamming stuff. And now she's flustered. Now he's flustered. And now he's like, stop. They don't know what their training is. They don't know how to talk to people. And a real criminal is like, it's between my freedom and you. Oh, I'm going to kill you any day. You don't have a gun. So I'm going to beat you over the head and run out of here, you know?
To Michael's point, though, like we all can spot the phonies and the imposters in our own industries, right? So there's no one more equipped to say, okay, this guy shouldn't be here as far as fellow officers go. Like, because you have people who can come and use lethal force and it gives you that, the society is granting you that ability to do that. It does attract people who want to protect and serve, but it also attracts people who are trigger happy or like want to, you know, I've been pulled over by people and they're just on some kind of trip, you know, and you can probably spot that even more than I could. You're like, okay, Officer so-and-so over there, like he should not be out in the field. You know,
and
what do you do in those
everybody
situations?
knows that officer. Everybody on the police department knows him and they hate that officer.
Right.
I'm going to explain it real quick. Let me go back to really your point with the social worker. When I was on the Tucson Police Department, we did a really good job at we work with both, right? You have the police officer respond, and when the police officer is not necessary, and we know that a person is want to listen to a trained expert to talk them in and get them resources, we combine two. We don't just go only cops and only social workers. That's a recipe for disaster. We combine the two. We get the officer to respond when it's necessary, then we bring in a social worker to give the soft approach and to sit down on the couch and make people feel comfortable where you're not sitting in the room with a big old dude with a vest and the radio going off and the guns. It's kind of intimidating for a person that just want to express themselves. And we are not experts in psychology and stuff like that. So the combination of two works. But also the bad cops. I got pulled over by a bad cop before I became a police officer in Tucson. I mean, the guy really wanted to arrest me. He wanted me to fight him or something. I'm like, I was wrong. Give me the ticket. I'm not going to complain. You want me to do it? He was getting all hype with me. I hated him. I remember thinking, I hope he get killed. I was so upset with how he treated me and how he tried to bully me. I said, I hope he get killed when he lead his traffic stop, because he's going to do this to somebody that had nothing to lose. He was bullying me, man. He was wrong. And I remember becoming a cop, and I said, I'm gonna find him, and I'm gonna tell him how I feel, and I'm gonna chastise him for what he did because he's wrong, and he's a bad cop, and he gave the Tucson Police Department a bad look. I ended up never doing it because I focused on other stuff. But I had guys that I worked with that were bad. But here's the thing too. There's different levels, right? There's different levels. There's cops who go in it for the wrong reason, which is rare, but they do. I've seen it. We've arrested them. They've gotten fired. I've been a part of the process of some of them getting fired. Then we got guys that come on with good intentions, but they turn evil. And that's kind of like politicians. You get into it and you get desensitized because you deal with people's worst day every day. People cussing you out. They hate you. They spit on you. They fight you. They lie to you. They betray you. It's all down. It's all emotional drain. And so people begin to get crooked, right? Or they feel like they're not treated properly on the police department, so they're going to work and do drugs on the side and do this. We've had plenty of officers on the Tucson Police Department do this. We had a detective that was doing a drug deal. He was an active detective. He was doing a drug deal after hours, and he did it at a strip club, and him and the guy got into it, and the guy shot him and killed him. He had a mask on. He tried to rob the guy. So our officers go to the scene. They pull the mask off. and it's one of our detectives. We had 5 detectives get caught up, and they were married, and I knew some of them. They got caught up in a happy endings scenario. They went to a little parlor, and they were getting happy endings. I couldn't believe it. We had a guy who was squared away, fresh out the military, beautiful wife, beautiful family. He had the same field training officer I had. He flew through every training protocol with flying colors. He was the #1 prospect coming out of field training. This guy, boot shine every day. Yes, sir. Military experience that was impeccable. This guy was the worst cop on planet Earth. He took a prostitute, not a cute one. He took a nasty AIDS prostitute with hairs growing out the side of her face.
Cute one, I'd
probably
understand.
Smelled like onion rings and fish.
Yeah.
He took her to a tunnel, and we have GPS tracking on our cars and everything. He didn't care. He took her underneath the parking garage of an abandoned movie theater. He proceeds to do stuff with her with protection. She runs. Now, everybody knew someone right because he gets on the radio and say, I got one running, and then he go, I got one 10-15, which means detained. Yeah. And everybody's like, wait a minute, nobody does that. When you have one running, you don't call detention and transport to the there's a whole process. Yeah. And so people were skeptical. He takes her to the jail. She say he raped me at the jail. Now, every time somebody make an accusation against a police officer, they get investigated. So if somebody say you raped them, they're going to investigate it to a certain degree. So they investigated it. And this dummy had the condom in his possession when he took her to the jail in the booking area. In the booking area, there's one bathroom that's not available to the public. Only police officers can use that bathroom. You have to go to the booking desk and say, can I have the key to the bathroom? Only cops go in that bathroom. It's all on video. He takes the condom. He doesn't flush it down the toilet. He balls it up and throws it in the trash in the bathroom that only cops go in, that's surveilled. So when she made the accusation, they do the research. They see his GPS tracker was there, and then they looked in that bathroom, and he had a condom in the bathroom. DNA tracked to him. He was fired. Worst officer, and we all hated him, and we hope that he spent the rest of his life in prison. So I want to dispel the myth that cops are like supporting these bad guys. We work too hard and go through too much training to have reputational damage by some idiot that want to be overzealous and want to fight people all the time. We hate those guys, man.
Well, I think we know why you became an Instagrammer. That kind of sheds light on it. But I appreciate that. Like I imagine everyone says no one hates bad cops more than good cops. And
that's the truth.
Yeah. The fact that it's rare, but it's there. I mean, those are the best people to be scoping it out because it does such a disservice and creates this distrust that you're talking about. Wow. So we covered quite a range here, Michael.
That wasn't on the list, but that was great.
That was great. I just want to end off. I want to respect your time. I know you got to get off here, but in terms of just the future going forward of the MAGA movement as we're seeing now, I mean, I'm sure you watched some of the clips coming off from the Turning Point USA conference that just happened. Is there are you optimistic going forward in the face of sort of left-wing populism that I see on the rise going into 2028 and what's to come? You see the far left at the local level. You have Mamdani, you have AOC, you have people sort of shedding all the old woke stuff and identity politics and trying to kind of use the Trump tactic of using a sort of left-wing populism. In the face of that, I find it so ironic that within the MAGA movement, conservative movement more broadly, there's so much consensus. There's so much stuff we can agree on, whether it's taxes, education, healthcare, all of these things, and yet we're arguing about Epstein files and we're arguing about AIPAC and Israel. Like, how can we kind of reunite around much more things that we have in common than that differentiate us, that we disagree with?
You make an incredible point. One thing is I don't think the Democrats got a chance whatsoever. They've gone off the cliff, bro. Nobody's believing in that socialist stuff. You're not going to come into capitalist New York City and really get anywhere. I mean, he won the Democrat vote because there was no other Democrats. Cuomo was running against him, and he was responsible, in part, everybody in New York knew that he was responsible for putting those older people in those homes, and they all died, and everybody hated him, and he stepped down because he allegedly sexually did some misconduct with women. So his reputation was terrible. They had nobody to run against Mamdani. So
and he kept a condom in the bathroom, and they found Cuomo's condom. It was a whole thing. But I'm Italian. That's what we do. I'm Italian. We leave condoms in the trash. That's what
Cuomo would make a good police officer.
Yeah.
He was terrible. So that's how they skated through that. Republicans and everybody's going to get behind Mayor Adams.
Okay.
I'm sure.
Oh, well, you're optimistic. Let's see what happens.
100%. I will go and campaign for Mayor Adams. I would go to New York and campaign for Mayor Adams. He's pro-Israel. He's always a supporter of Israel, so I like that about him. He's pro-police, more so than I thought he would be. And the guy's not a nut job, leftist, socialist, communist fool that don't even know how taxes work.
Right.
So I think that he's going to win. I do think that we should reunite on things that actually matter. Is Epstein a big deal? No, it's a big pet project deal, meaning that, do we know how he did it? Did he kill himself or not? Maybe not. Who's involved? It's fun to know, and it's fun to talk to and endeavor, but it's not going to change the price of groceries. It's not going to change taxes. It's not going to change foreign policy for the most part, unless he's a foreign agent, and then that's another issue. But it's not going to change foreign policy or anything like that. So I think what conservatives need to do is say, I cannot like this, but I still love the totality of what I'm looking at. I wrote an op-ed about not liking how Trump dealt with Epstein because I think he did a terrible job in messaging, but that is irrelevant to what he's done with the border, what he's done with taxes and tariffs. The stock market is the greatest it's ever been in the history of the stock market. I mean, and so all of those things matter more. And I would tell people, say, even Israel, it's like Israel is the size of New Jersey. The budget that we give to Israel is very small in comparison to all the other things that we do. This is just one of our allies. I would argue that one of the most important, but it's just one ally. And so don't get too caught up in saying this and this about Israel. You can have a disagreement about how much money we give to Israel. It's totally fine. I think everybody should question anything America does, but understand that as an isolated event. Don't turn on Trump because you don't like what he did in Iran or whatever. And so I wish that we would get together, because if we don't, and we stay fractured, we're going to lose our country. And everybody's going to be looking at each other, looking stupid, crying about Epstein when our country has gone down a pipe. And then Epstein will never get released and nobody will ever find out. And there will be more Epstein-esque people that come to fruition, in my personal opinion. So I think that it's okay to have a difference of opinion. The Democrats are lockstep because they're all liars. People that are on the right tend to be individuals, which is what conservatism is, which what independence mean. But let's say, I don't like this, but we can join forces for the better good. One thing I hate is when I see people go, I'm not going to vote because I don't. Quit being stupid. You know what I mean? You don't, the person that you're voting for don't have to do everything you like. Donald Trump has not accomplished everything he said he would in the first 100 days or so. But what he's done is he's accomplished a lot of things, and in good faith, I think he's the best for the country. We do that, we'll be good.
All right. Well, on a message of unity and seeing the forest for the trees in the bigger picture, Officer Tatum, we appreciate you coming on Ami's House. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. God bless you, and thank you, guys.